Aloha, welcome to Resist with Joy podcast, where we amplify the voices of everyday people and empower our listeners to engage, show up, and become policy shapers of tomorrow. I'm Tina Marie.
I'm Martina, and I'm always looking forward to talk about the top of the mind news of the last week, and let's dive right into it. Right. Okay, Tina Marie, you wanted to start out with an update from last week.
Yes, I wanted to update us all on Spirit Airlines and the co-op that a creator on TikTok is trying to get going and collaborate. Mm-hmm. He did speak with some lawyers and he did find that it would be possible for us to actually move forward with this. And he was just explaining the process and whatnot. And then he actually teamed up with some other fellows that were going to actually push it to the next step. However, I don't think he did his due diligence in actually researching the views of these people, because it turns out a lot of them were MAGA and had very problematic views. Mm-hmm. So of course, the comment section got reamed with it. But what he did that kind of shocked me is, instead of just moving forward with it, because this has been a passion of his, he actually started listening to the people that were, saying, I'm out, I can't deal with this, I'm not going to be associated with anyone with those problematic views. He actually deleted the videos where he was showing his collaboration with them. And he made a post saying, you know what, this is on me. I didn't, do my due diligence, and I'm sorry. I'm going to take a pause for right now for any partnerships so I can recalibrate this and that. And there are some people in the comments saying, I don't trust you anymore, this and that. And I chimed in and I'm like, you know what? I was going to be initially out myself because I saw that these people were MAGA and I don't want to be associated with that myself. But since I see that you're making apologies, you recognize the error of your ways, you made an apology, and now you're course correcting. That's exactly what we should be aiming for. We shouldn't be canceling people because they made a mistake. He's new to this. We're all new to this coming together. Mistakes are going to happen. So I gave him some support and saying, thank you for listening to us and thank you for course correcting. And I look forward to continuing to see what happens and how this evolves. So right now he's taking a pause. He's going to recalibrate, and then hopefully we can figure out how to move forward from here. But I definitely wanted to give him some praise and encouragement, because it does take a big person to overcome their excitement and feelings and overcome any ego and actually take responsibility for any errors that were made, and being willing to listen to the people and collaborate and change course.
That's a really interesting development. I agree with you. We actually will finish out our recording today with also an emotional journey that has to do with you. But I think it's this thing where you, as a normal citizen, you feel so motivated to do something. That's what this gentleman probably did. He's like, I want to do something. And then you move forward and you make mistakes. But the appreciation is here. He saw the mistake. He backtracked a little bit, like you said, course correct, and then goes forward. And that's called transparency, right? And I think in today's world, what people really should do, listen to comments in the comment section. But then you also have to get the feel for it, or maybe that's a little bit of training too. Have your own values when you look at those comments, what sits right and what doesn't feel right. And I guess due diligence, who's behind the commentary. Because with the bots, that's probably very, very difficult too.
Yeah, wasn't there something that came out that said that like 50% of interactions were bots? And I couldn't find the article, but I could have swore I remembered reading something about that, which is insane.
Yeah, but that ties into the independent media. I mean, I'm this big fan of Midas Touch. We talked about one of the right-wing outlets, what's it called, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, something like this. They are down in viewership and they let go of so many people. Well, they only spread out lots of lies or lots of conspiracies versus independent media that stays with their values. And one of the values is the truth, right? And if you apologize for something, you made a mistake, I mean, you're coming back to the truth. You find your middle ground again. And it's a really cool update. I didn't know about any of that. So that's really cool.
What's the top of your mind this week?
All right. I wanted to tie into the Supreme Court decision from end of April, because it's called Callais. It was Louisiana versus Callais, where the Voting Rights Act was gutted, and it had immediate consequences in state legislations in the southern states of the United States. And one thing really stands out is Tennessee. And Tennessee already, as if they would had everything, they just had to open a drawer. They knew something is coming from the Supreme Court. They opened a drawer and it came out with redistricting their congressional districts. And it is about who's going to Washington for the people in Tennessee. And especially Tennessee is a lot of African-American people live there. And the way that's shaping what they actually already decided on this week is the one Democratic congressional seat that was in the city of Memphis was carved into new districts or attached to other districts, diluting the voices of the African-American people. And there's one gentleman, one legislator, his name is Justin Pearson. And there's another one, Justin Jones. They are really, you should look him up. Justin Pearson did an incredible speech on the floor in the Tennessee legislature. And it's hard for me.
Doing great.
So leave it in the pot. It's a hard word for me. And we want to link to that in description. I mean, my heart stopped a little bit because he really showed the whole history the African American people had already endured. And now they're getting back prior to 1965 Voting Rights Act. You know, that was the first time really for African American people to have democracy. Before that, it was always Jim Crow, all kinds of depressing or restrictive.
They used to have to pay to even go to vote, which didn't happen for people like us.
Yeah. So I'm not a historian, but I understand it was 1965 democracy that the voices of the people they could voice their opinions. And I want to just mention Memphis, Tennessee, what stood out this week, because that fight continues on and on. That is like a new civil rights era and voting rights era that we have to help, especially the southern states, to overcome. And then I read the news this morning. There's another Black African-American congressman. His name is, I forgot his name. But he's pretty, very well known in South Carolina, because not only Tennessee wanted to change the rules now, other southern states want to do that too and redistrict again. So they have then in midterm elections in November that they don't lose the House, because that's really on the horizon, that they lose the House to the Democrats. And that will stop them having every arm of them.
Yeah, every branch of the government.
That's right. Anyway, he said this morning, be careful what you wish for. And I think he said that on a TV show, live TV. And because if other legislations trying to do the same thing and carve out more and more Democrats out of the system and get the Republicans in, they create actually swing state. It is not clear who will win in the general elections, but everything is up in the air. This decision from the Supreme Court, Callais, Louisiana versus Callais, Voting Rights Act got it. Legislators jump on this thing, and it shifts everything what's going on in this country. So more and more important that we all stay engaged and vote, and bring other people to vote that have never voted before.
And what's crazy to me is like the Republicans, they're doing redistricting without any constituent input or what have you. California, they actually put it up to a vote. They actually made a special election to put it up to a vote and ask their citizens if they would agree to a mid-decade, redistricting. And they agreed to it. But all the Republican states, they're just doing it all willy-nilly. Yeah. And they're saying that if Democrats start doing that to their states, it's unfair.
Yeah, crybabies.
If they know that they can't win based on their policies and their campaign promises. They know that nobody cares about their campaign promises. Nobody cares about what they're, trying to push through. So now they're trying to steal the election by means of redistricting to outdistrict Democrats. So they're cheating essentially.
And that ties in. So California did a ballot initiative, and then Virginia did the same thing. So they asked the voters, what do you want? Are we allowed to redistrict? And Virginia said, 3 million people said, yes, for this, let's fight fire is fire. And they said, let's redistrict. And guess what? It went to a court challenge, and the state Supreme Court of Virginia said by a 4-3 decision, no, there's no technicality. All these 3 million votes are not valid. It's quite a week about voting rights. And the one thing I really want everybody to encourage is to follow this particular man. His name is Mark Elias. Democracy Docket. He's the guy that I listen to understand all the nuances of this. But but that ties into something that happened here in Hawaii.
Yes, we want to give an update to SB 2471. This is the bill that got pushed through legislation. Our legislation window has closed now. Everybody's like going back to their districts, but it is the bill that focused on overturning Citizens United here in Hawaii, and that is to basically get dark money out of politics. So it did pass both chambers of our House and Senate, and now it is on our governor's desk, just waiting to be signed by the governor. And so now the call to action is to get in touch with our governor and send him some words of encouragement to sign that bill.
Yeah. And the big deal here is we had reported about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Now with the legislation being finished and on the way to the governor, what happened is a lot of people got involved because there was so much talk about it, and calling legislator and say, yeah, keep doing it. And on Friday was the final vote. And the people that sponsored the bill, they were really nervous on Friday morning if it maybe still goes sideways, the people are not voting for it. But here's the number. I believe it was 75-1. Everybody was in agreement to do it. That is quite the number. You can also say it's bipartisan, right? Both sides of the aisle were voting for it. It's a really big deal because with that, 49 other states might take what happened in Hawaii and get their dark money out of their legislation, out of their elections as well.
The rest of the 49 states and other territories, here's your blueprint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because that's what happened to us here in the United States. I mean, if you think of Roe versus Wade, it was one state, there was some right-wingers that said, no, women should not have their own choices about their bodies. And there was a court challenge, or there was a case, there was a court challenge, and we went to the appellate court and went to the Supreme Court, and then Supreme Court said, nah, we don't give you your own choices. And it's the same thing that Hawaii is trying to do now. It was a really good webinar on Friday where these legislators actually talked about it, how it all happened, that it went into being a bill proposed in January and all the way through. It was about the right wing had their blueprint over the last 40, 50 years to bring us to this point. And now we're going to turn the ship around. With Citizens United, it is the biggest problem. So much money in elections to get them out of at least Hawaii elections. That would be just incredible. So the governor has to sign it. If I may, one more thing needs to happen. What everybody expects is there will also be legal challenges. So, but that's okay. They're all very confident. A lot of people were involved on the legal side to say this is a solid bill and it will be solid law.
And just so everyone knows too, when I went to lobby day, I actually learned something that all of the legislators that we have in our House and Senate, they have legal legislative lawyers on staff. So they actually have help creating legislation that is going to be legal within the Constitution. So yes, we may have faced legal challenges, but just so you know that our politicians actually do consult with legal legislative lawyers.
Yeah. What is lobby day? I mean, I know what it is, but what is lobby day?
Lobby day was, I think it was back in March, I believe, where we kind of we banded together with a whole bunch of different organizations, and we went there to consult with all of our legislators individually and as a group. We had a press conference, and we basically had a whole set of bills that we were saying, hey, we want to push these through. We support these bills. And it was a really fun day. I got to see the Capitol. I got to see some of the offices of our legislators. I got to meet Della Albalati. I got to meet some other people too, but it was just a great day, and I really enjoyed myself and learned a lot, and I made new connections. So I guess we can put more information in the show notes, but that's all I have on memory.
Yeah, but what it really is, you met humans. Yeah, it's your legislator, but it's a human on the other side. I went there too. I think I go regularly to Honolulu for checkup, and so one day, maybe a year and a half ago, I went there too. I just walked around. I'm like, that's how it is. That's where the laws are made. That's the laws that we as a society live under. It's like, and then I walked into Nicole Lone. She's my district. She wasn't there, but very nice staff, and just looked around. I recommend everybody to, if you're in Honolulu, these are the people that work for us. They get their salary from us because we pay taxes. It's in the democracy. The people are in charge.
We're their boss. We are their boss.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's wonderful update. That ties into one of the co-sponsors of this bill, 2471. His name is Jarrett Keohokalole. And we wanted to share with you that he will be a challenger to the Congressional District 1. The person that goes to Washington is really important here in Hawaii because we only have 4 representatives, right? So 2 senators, and we have 2 for the congressional districts. Now, if you live on the Big Island, Jill Torcuda is our congresswoman. I really enjoy. I think she's really good. When we look at voting records, how do I know she's good? Well, it's called voting records. You look at what her values are and what she votes for. And the gentleman that is in office in Congressional District 1, it's called CD1. His name is Ed Case. And if you look at his voting records, I mean, your hair sometimes really stands up. And I don't want to go into details. I want to just let you know that there's 2 challengers. And the group Indivisible, the statewide network, now has endorsed Jarrett Keohokalole after an 8-month vetting process. And Tina Marie, maybe you have some details for that.
Yeah, and I personally would prefer if it was endorsed with Della, but I understand the reasoning behind it because the entire goal was to, replace Ed Case, which he hasn't really been stepping up the way that we would hope. And he's not my House rep, but I do support the cause for people that live in Honolulu. And Jared was polling ahead. He had a lot more individual donations, which shows that he was more favored over Della. And this is the reason why that Indivisible went ahead and went to endorse him. And if you go to Indivisible Hawaii's website, they actually do have an entire extensive report from like surveys that they done to the group, to polling, to endorsement, to not endorsements, but checking his donations. And they just compared him with Della's. So this is the reason why they went ahead and chose him to receive their endorsement. And I encourage everybody to go look at the extensive report, and you'll be able to see all of the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. And that ties into something that we want to talk about too. And all this endorsement stuff, Jarrett Keohokalole, Della Obelati, and Ed Case, they're all running for the same seat, right? But they're all from the Democratic Party. So the fight is really within the primary, within the Democratic Party. I'm not too sure about the Republican Party. They probably have someone to a candidate. But these 2 candidates only meet in November in a general election. But those 3, they have to fight it out, I guess.
In the primary. Which is happening August 8th, by the way, is the date for primaries.
Yeah. And the ballots come out July 21st. So it's really important if you want to make a difference, because we are a blue state for so long, entrenched system. But the primary is the most important part of the election here in Hawaii, because in a general, usually a Democrat wins, right? I mean, at this point, it is. So it was important that if someone challenges Ed Case, it is only one person against him, not that we dilute it down with 3 people, because usually an incumbent wins a primary like this. So there was a lot of thought that went into that. I was a little bit a part of that too. But we want to change that. And that ties into our next topic, and it's called ranked choice voting. So all this endorsement stuff, all this primary stuff would have been completely different if we would have ranked choice voting in Hawaii.
In the primaries specifically.
Yes. So let us know again, teach us again, because you made this really cool exercise at one of the conventions recently here on the Big Island about ranked choice voting.
Yeah. Ranked choice voting basically means that you can rank your people that you want to vote for between first to last. So if you want to choose one candidate, you put like number 1 and then number 2, number 3, so forth. And what essentially happens is when they tally those up, if one person does not meet more than 50% of the first choice, then the person with the lowest votes gets eliminated from the rounds. And anyone who selected them as their first choice, their votes get reallocated to the second choice votes. And that just keeps repeating until there becomes a clear winner of someone who meets the threshold of more than 50%. And we did this little exercise at our county convention. I hosted that, where I found a tool online that helped us to easily calculate the ranked choice voting. So I had people just nominate people who they want to vote between. And the system only allowed me to put 10 names in before I had to pay for it. So 10 was the limit. I added a link to our website. Everyone went there to vote. And then we got to see how the tally came. So we actually did we did 2 rounds of voting. One the regular way, first past the post, and then, or the one that gets the most votes, and then ranked choice voting. So with the first round, the plurality voting, which we're all familiar with, Pete Buttigieg won that with 23% of the vote. But when we did ranked choice voting, AOC came ahead initially, but then Zohran Mamdani actually won with ranked choice voting. Pete Buttigieg came in second place and AOC in third.
Yeah, it just really changes elections. That's it really changes the election. And I would love to see ranked choice voting being implemented in Hawaii. And what's happening at the end of the month is the Hawaii Democratic Party will have a convention in Honolulu, and there will be resolutions voted on. And there were 2 resolutions submitted, and one says we want ranked choice voting for the primaries, and I believe there's also a resolution saying we want it for the whole state. So we'll see how far we get with these resolutions. But if we get it for the primaries, that would make the major step forward, so we don't have to do these endorsement stuff, and it would be just we would use our energy for something else other than endorsement, and kick someone out because for various reasons, just to have a fight between 2 people instead of 3.
Yeah.
Ranked choice voting, take that away. So
And just to clarify real quick too, like whatever does get passed at our state convention for the Democratic Party, all that does is it doesn't actually change any legislation or implement any laws. The resolutions and platforms that are on the Democrats.org website are basically things that the entire Democratic Party of the state has voted on to support. So what we do is we basically give our legislators a platform, and we say, hey, when you get into office, please support bills that come up with these topics. And that's kind of giving them a baseline of what we encourage for them to vote in support of.
Yeah. Well, I got a taste now with SB 2471, how we can put pressure on, how it works, right? And
all it takes
what the
is for
pressure
us to
points
come
are.
together and
That's
just
right.
work together.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty exciting, actually. I never thought I would be so excited about politics, local politics, but I do see I make a difference already. And that ties into our last topic.
Well, I had one more topic I wanted to cover before we get into that. So yeah, I want to share with all of you that you might see that little blue Vega Blast circle pop up in our corner when we have our podcast. That's actually my business. I actually am a virtual operations consultant. And if you go to my About page, you will see that I am a huge alien fanatic. Aliens have been a huge interest of mine, philosophically speaking, because I think it's insane that we have all of these vast universe, all of these Earth-like planets that could support life. And I've always found it odd for us to think that we're the only ones to exist. Now, whether or not they've come here is a different conversation entirely, but I absolutely believe aliens exist. And my entire life, if you were to talk about aliens, it was very stigmatized. It was very ridiculed, and your credibility went out the window if you said that you believed in them. So it's not a topic that we were able to freely talk about. And something shifted within the past few years, literally within the past few years. It started to become more of an open topic. More and more people of the spiritualist avenue have been coming out and talking about like hypnotherapy clients. They've been coming out and talking about their dreams. I had crazy dreams where I was on other planets. We had spiritualist gurus coming out. There was platforms being made for people like Stephen Greer and Bashar, and even in our local community, Lisa Thompson, who does UFO tours with military grade goggles out here. But yeah, more and more people are coming out and talking about it, ex-pilots, ex-government officials, this and that. So when I tell you that learning about aliens and theorizing about them and having having discussions about their experience and where they came from, why we're here, are we reincarnated, are they actually our overlords? Was it aliens that Moses saw at the burning bush? Who knows? Like, it has been something that has been like so core part of me, part of my soul, my entire adult life. And then the alien files get released, which is something that I have been looking for my entire life, for government to say, hey, there's something out there that we don't know what it is. But as someone who has loved this topic and has lived and breathed this topic my entire life, has made it part of my business, I can't even be excited about it. Trump has tainted everything that I'm excited for. And it's sad that we're getting alien disclosure in a time when all the Epstein files haven't been released, when we have thousands of rape kits that haven't been processed, where we have kids that are missing, we have Native Americans that are missing, we have BIPOC that are missing and being killed and tormented, and ICE is detaining people. We're in a war that we don't need to be in, with a country that is killing their citizens still. We're threatening to invade other countries. I can't be excited for something that has been a passion of mine for my entire adult life while all of this other shit is happening. And it makes me sad.
Yeah, that sounds like a real downer. For folks that don't know, Alien files were released this week. So that's why it's on top of Tina Marie's mind. And there's a hashtag, I think it's called ETTD. Everything Trump touches dies. So your curiosity and draw to Alien and everything what's around surrounds it, he pretty much killed that vibe, right? That's what I hear you say.
Yeah, everything. It's like, why? I wish this was happening under Harris. I could be excited about it, but I can't. Like, it dropped and it's like, whatever, and it's just, I couldn't even bring myself to go look at them.
Yeah, I knew that they were released, but I'm not drawn to that at all. But I understand the journey for you and hashtag ETDD. I hear what you're saying, because I think it happens to many people for many topics. Everything, this regime ruins so much what we thought makes our life, enriches our life. But, well, we'll change that. No worries. We were working on it. So we're getting to another place, which ties into our last topic. And it ties a little bit into the prior, what we talked about, but it's about the Democratic Party. And Tina Marie has to tell you more of an emotional journey that she's on. Not only emotional journey, I think also a career journey. Just to remind people, if you haven't told that story, I met Tina Marie last year when the new administration came in. Jill Tokuda, our congresswoman, did a town hall on the other side of the island. We drove over. I didn't know Tina Marie. She walks up to the microphone. I didn't know how town halls work in the first place. But there was Tina Marie, first in line, speaking. I'm like, that's cool, blue hair. And I'm like, this woman is cool. And then next town hall, we connected and I said, we want to do a podcast. And here we are. In your career or your career journey, emotional journey, what's happening for you on your end?
It's funny you bring that up, because I was actually talking with my husband about it yesterday, because I still have the paper from me being at the town hall saying Doge is a dictatorship, with me plastered, with my face plastered on the front page. And I still have that sitting on my fridge. But yes, it kind of ties into the fact that I am running for state party chair for the Democratic Party of Hawaii. And initially,
let's repeat that. You would be the top person for the Democratic Party of Hawaii, not a county, not a district.
Yeah, of the whole state. I would be the face of the Democratic Party. So listen, this did not come into my life, my entire adult life. Politics and a career in politics was just never even in my mind at all. And since I actually went to that town hall and made that speech at Jill Tokuda's town hall, that was the first time in my life where I gave a speech or I talked to a group of people and I had people resonating with what I was saying. There were several points during my speech that people clapped for me. And this isn't an ego thing or anything like that, but it's the first time that I felt like I was connected to community. And it was the first time I feel like that my ideas and what I thought was happening, the urgency I felt, was being heard in the community. Because these are things that I have been saying to people my entire life when I noticed like breakdowns in the system, but nobody seemed to give a shit. That was the first time I felt community behind me, supporting me in saying the things that I've been saying my whole life. And that's the first time I thought, okay, maybe I should think about being a politician. After that was the first time I ever thought about it. And that's when I started joining things like the co-chair of Being Women's Caucus, being assistant secretary of our county committee, going on to be a rep for our county for the state central committee. And now when we have an election coming up for the state party chair, I was like, why not? Just throw my hat in the ring. Why not? And at the time, I heard that there were 3 other people running or thinking about running, and the 3 other people were more well-known in the party. So I had
people total.
So it would be 4 of us total. So I had like a 5% chance of winning. So I went into this thinking, okay, you know what? Whatever. I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring, get a little more name recognition, build up my network of contacts, maybe promote our podcast a little bit, and just kind of promote my message to everyone about how we need to be more inclusive as a party and keep recycling people and bringing new people into the party, helping them run for office. And, just getting some experience in doing that whole process too. Well, yesterday was the last day that anybody could put their name in for state party chair. So when I went to the website to see who was running against me, keep this in, Savannah, keep all of this in. I about flipped my when I saw that there was only one other person running against me. I was like, what is happening? I went from coming into this thinking I had zero chance of winning to being like, oh my goodness, I'm actually going to have to straighten up and present myself in a way that could be the face of the Democratic Party for the entire state. Okay, game on. So I will admit I had a brief panic attack in the morning, but I felt it and I got over it. And now I am just ready to campaign and try to get as many delegates to the state convention as possible so that they can vote for me. And you know what? I'm just going to do what I can, promote myself, promote my ideas from now until convention. And then the day of convention, I'm just going to leave it to the universe. And if this is meant for me to do, I am going to fulfill my role to the best of my abilities. And I probably will make some mistakes, and I hope people will be forgiving of me. But I will do what the Spirit Airlines dude did, and I will listen to everybody and make course corrections if needed. But yeah, so this has become a real possibility for me. And who knows where this might take me in the future, because our current chair is actually running for state house position in his district. So, just having the notoriety and having the exposure can actually put you in a place where you have more of an opportunity later. So this has been a real whirlwind for me, and I'm just taking it in stride, and I'm really excited about it to see where this goes.
Yeah, I think you would be actually really good for the party because the energy you bring to all the things you do. I enjoy this here with the podcast and the way we created it, right? But your ideas absolutely align with me. I mean, I only saw you a little bit, and then I approached you and like, we should do a political podcast. I don't know what I felt there, but I knew you're the right person for that. And I just looked at my phone. I'm not going to show it to folks. Your message yesterday to us, to me and Savannah, it was pretty hilarious, it's like, because I could feel through the phone how freaked out you are. It's like everything in caps, and I was like, I might vote and win the whole thing. So yeah, your chances went from 5% to 50%.
Yeah.
And what happened this week?
And when you have situations like this, it's easy for someone like us to feel a little imposter syndrome. But as my husband reminded me too, it's like we have a disastrous toddler in the White House.
Right.
Like nobody should feel imposter syndrome at this point.
Yeah, we could all do a better job in the White House than him by far. Just to throw that in, if you think of a political career in being a politician and be a legislator, Brian Schatz, our senator, was the chair of the Democratic Party of Hawaii.
Yep.
Well, he's in the Senate now. The sky's the limit. So I think that will be a great future. You will do just great. I will be at the convention too. Savannah will be at the convention. I went to a meeting this week because someone on the county level is running for a certain seat. It was kind of get together. I've never done anything like this before, and I went there. And I don't know how many times I heard your name, Tina Marie, and someone said, yeah, I'm here because of Tina Marie.
Really?
Yeah, I'm here because of Tina Marie. They're all inspired by you. So you are touching a lot of people's lives already. And when you made the video, it's like voting for you. I mean, how many contributors you had already? It was really special. And I think with the influx of brand new people to the party, we know that from Kauai, there's a big group of people that they come through Indivisible, but they want to make changes. And we all understand that the vehicle to make changes is the Democratic Party. And if we have you as a chair, we know the change is coming, and we will all rally behind you and be a little army of helpers. You can count on that.
And I was thinking about something as I was falling asleep last night. Like I was talking about earlier, I've been saying the things I've been saying for my entire life, but nobody would listen and nobody was ready to listen. And I feel like no matter what I tried to do in my life, I had an uphill battle. I always had a challenge in front of me, one after the other, one after the other. And ever since stepping into the political arena here, I feel like things were just kind of handed to me. Being co-chair of the Women's Caucus, I ran unopposed. Being assistant secretary, I ran unopposed. Being a state central committee rep, I ran unopposed. And now my chances for state party chair went from drastically low to 50%. Right. It's just, it feels like it's being handed to me. And at the same time, I feel like I've been sowing this my entire life. And I've been trying to work towards this one way or the other.
Yeah. Don't think of it as being handed to you. It is the wind is in the back of you, the wind coming from the back now. It's pushing you forward because this is your lane now. I really believe you
Yeah.
would make a huge difference on that lane, in that lane, because as a business, you are an organizer, right? And what is this Democratic supposed to do? I think the only goal they have is put the politicians in the right places. Isn't that what the Democratic Party is supposed to do?
Yeah, the chair specifically of the Democratic Party is there to organize the party, strategize, fundraise, things like that. And the chair also gets a seat at the DNC table, which I know a lot of us are frustrated with the DNC, but any people that step into positions like mine, where I can be chair, that grants me a seat at the DNC table and has a voice for that larger platform. But yeah, like you were saying, the wind is behind me right now. And I feel like maybe I stepped into a timeline where, this is the right path for me. So I'm going to write it out as much as like it's going to support me. And when I start to have a downfall, I'll know my time is up and I need to move on to something else. But right now I feel like it's the right path for me. And I felt what I was trying to say as far as like it's being handed to me. I felt like this is more in alignment with what I've been wanting to do. And I just never quite realized that having any sort of political position would have been the path for me to do it. Like I said, it was never in my mind in my entire life. And it does make me a little bit scared. But as my husband told me yesterday, it's probably good for people to be a little scared. Because if you're not scared, you're probably egotistical.
Yeah. No, you will do fine. And we will all rally behind you.
Thank you.
All right. More next week. We can learn more about the week. Along the week, this week, we will learn more what's happening on a national level, state level. We will gear up for other things now that the legislator is done. We need to get rally the governor for the SB 2471, get dark money out of this Hawaii election cycle. We're looking forward to talk to you next week with more updates and news stories. Thank you so much for listening. Aloha.
Aloha.